I've got this problem I want to talk about. It's been bugging me. You'll surely recognise the lighthouse from recent videos, and perhaps that's my problem. I'm coming back to the same places to shoot the same things, and I'm not enamored with it any longer because it's familiar. I haven't left the county. Well, I don't think I've left the county this year. No, I have once, and that was for a funeral. So, yeah, enjoy it. I'm getting bored. I'm getting stuck, and I don't know whether it's my problem up here or whether it's a problem we all have. I suspect we all have this problem because one of the big issues that we often see, and I'll be as guilty of this as the next person, one way or another, because look, a lot of you, I'm sure, live in towns and cities where this big open space would be a wonderful place to come. But for me, it's normal. In the same way as your town or city is normal, or your village, or wherever it is. And you may find that you just get stuck for inspiration in these places. Now, of course, I could drive 30 miles in either direction to find something. And indeed, sometimes I do. But one of the problems with that, and it is a problem, is that a great deal of the landscape around me is relatively flat. We don't have these great sweeping views and vistas. I don't have these very big hills to climb. Not that I'm in a position to climb great big hills, you understand. When everything that you have around you is largely flat, and I'm not going to say it all is because it isn't, but perception, then what you start looking for are subjects. You need to find a subject. You're not just looking at a view most of the time, you're looking for a subject. And that brings us to honeypot places, a bit like this, where everybody else is and where you keep seeing photos from. And it's leading me to take photographs that aren't different. There's a certain irony to what I just said. Mere yards from pointing out that I'm not taking anything different, I've seen this bicycle. It's different. I'm attracted to it because it appears to be both old and new. It's got some wonderful rusty parts to it, but glorious, sparkling new paintwork. It's really rather nice. And it's different. For quite a while I've been thinking about doing a video about shooting the mundane, and I've been struggling to do that. I've been struggling to kind of formulate it, and to a degree struggling to get myself out into more populous places and shooting these things, because obviously a lot of the mundane is in places where people are. Anyway, I've got a few shots of this. Hope you like them. There are published photo books everywhere of photographs that I simply don't get, and these could fit in with them. I know I'm being hard, but I look at them back thinking, why bother? So I've come down onto the beach. If any of you follow Gary Goff, he was here a few weeks ago and was absolutely in awe of these sticks that stick out of the sea down here, the old sea defences, part of old groins and such, that protect this eroding coastline. Gary travelled hours to get here. I've done 15 minutes. I don't come here nearly often enough because it's on my doorstep. I get this problem of not shooting things that are familiar to me or overly familiar to me, too close to me. You suffer from this. I'm sure everybody must suffer from this. We see these wonderful places like the Lake District and the North York Moors and the Dales and the Peak District, and we don't live there, and we think, wow, that looks amazing, we must go. And indeed, you absolutely must. They are amazing places. And you also see the Norfolk Broads and the North Norfolk Coast, and you say, we must go there, it's amazing. And I live here and it is amazing, but I'd still rather go to the Peak District or to the Yorkshire Dales or all of these other places, because they somehow
are more amazing than this. No, they're just different. They're not 15 minutes away, therefore there's a challenge. It's an achievement to go and do it, whereas this weirdly isn't. Anyway, sticks. I've shot these before. I must have shot these particular ones before because they're the easiest ones to get to. I haven't planned the shoot, so I'm here late. If I gas for too long, I'm going to get wet feet because this tide is coming in. My plan is to shoot these here with a long exposure and possibly turn it into a kind of, I hesitate to call it fine art, but you know, that kind of thing. And let's see how it goes. Stop filter. I think the polarizer is lightening the foreground waves. I don't want that, so take that up to non-polarized. Set this to live time on the camera, and this is set at f8. Doesn't matter a great deal because I'm only really focusing on one thing, and I'll probably take out most of the detail in the sky as well. Setting this at a 16:9 aspect ratio, ISO 200. There are birds on here, which of course they're not going to stay still. I don't know how long this exposure is going to be because I'm just watching it on the back of the screen. It's looking like kind of 15 seconds is going to be just about enough. I think that's not bad. Obviously the birds are going to move. I don't know how bad that's going to be. I'm not going to waste too much time because I'm going to get wet here in 15 minutes, and I think one shot is enough. If I go that way, I'm definitely getting wet, so I'm going to go back that way in a moment. This really was just one shot. I wasn't expecting anything much from it, and it took me a lot of work to get it to this stage. But I think this really should be hanging on a wall. Light is beginning to fade now. You can see in this direction there's some gorgeous colour coming. So I'm thinking if I go back up the cliff, then I can hopefully get some of that gorgeous pinkness behind the lighthouse. One of the things that I'm sure a lot of us are guilty of are shooting more images in a situation like this than perhaps we need to. I've put this onto its auto bracketing mode. It's called HDR, but actually it's just shooting 3 brackets. It will shoot up to 7, and that's really just to capture a bit of detail in the foreground and the sky, because there's such a huge dynamic range here. Of course, we're looking into the light, makes a difference. What I often find is that when I get back to the computer, I don't need to combine those into an HDR. Sometimes I do just because, but often actually if I take the most averaged exposed one, so long as there's a bit of detail in the shadows, I can pull the shadows up ever so slightly, just enough, and pull down the highlights to make it look like my eyes see it now. And you don't need always to do all of those brackets on here. It's just one of those things. And one of the things you might notice as well, because I do this a lot, is how going through the range of exposures, the EV values on here, changes so greatly the image that you're seeing here. I'm just going to shoot that again just to make sure I get this stuff. You see things that your eyes aren't aware of, and you can really pull some drama out of this. So for instance, at the moment, what I can't easily see, even with or without these things, and they're all smudged because of my hair, is that actually there's a big kind of splay of light coming out over this. It's a new dance move, and I don't easily see that with my eyes, but when I stop down this screen, or indeed the electronic viewfinder, whatever, I see that kind of starburst kind of thing, and it's all emanating from that kind of space where the thing, this big red and white thing over here. I couldn't even think of red and white then. That's how buggered my mind is, and it's just amazing. What's too striking, sadly, is there's a bloody contrail there which I might clone out. It's whenever I come here, I try to get a different type of shot from the norm. When there's crops here, I try to shoot through the crops. You've probably seen some shots. I'll put some up in a minute, get something low and kind of shoot through the crops. Use the crops as framing. But now what's happened is they've cropped the crops. It's gone. It's harvested, and there's just nothing except a bit of turned over mud and a few sticks sticking up. So there's no foreground here. So it's just a very, very, very simple shot. I'm disappointed in myself that I haven't got anything else. I'm deflated already in that, I've come here and I've got the same shot that I would have got any other time, with the exception that the sky's different. I've got the same shot that anybody else would come here and standing any one of 100 different spots along the edge of this field and get those shots. It's actually begun to flash now. I'll get that in a second. But so I'm disappointed in all of these things, and it's not going to. Is that going to flash again? No, it's not, is it? And it's a shot that's not going to set the world on fire, because it's the same shot that anybody else could get. It doesn't mean it's a bad shot. It just means it's not outstanding. Well, to me at least. Oh, I missed the flash. Well, as you can see, I left the aircraft contrails in. They just kind of work. They're not natural, but then again, neither's the lighthouse. There's something just a little bit Van Gogh-y about this, isn't there? Now, I know that honeypot locations such as this are good places to take photos if you're trying to sell the photos. But as I've discussed before, I'm not trying hard to sell the photos. If you would like one of the photos from this shoot hanging on your wall, please get in touch. There's details down below. But as I say, I'm not pushing this enough. I should push it more. But there's a cost of living crisis, and I don't. Do people want to buy prints, landscape prints? I think also there's a problem that a lot of us tend to put value on things that is value to us, and if we're struggling for money, we have this idea of why would anybody else buy something that they don't actually need? And there's a good reason for a lot of things. If you don't need something but you want something and you're feeling really down, then spending a little money on yourself really does help sometimes. I'm not suggesting that you put yourself in trouble for it, but investing in your own well-being is really something that we all should do. And I think we're all in at serious risk, I should say, of just burning out with worry, burning out with anything. We're in troubled times, and anyway, buy a print.